Hello, Stephen.
Hey there.
Um, Welcome to the Everything Pocket, Steve.
Yeah.
The first of at least one. Here's to you, buddy. We were talking about your drink earlier,
Cheers.
um, and I have coffee, and you were saying that you have some
Root beer
kind
and
of
rum.
root beer and rum, like a pirate.
Because it's 5:30 on a Friday right now. So, cheers.
Richmond
Here's
grog. Here's
here's
to
to
you, buddy.
being in the pocket.
Right, and it's interesting. Like as we've gotten into just getting back together. You know what? Actually, Steve, hold that thought. We were supposed to have an intro, weren't we?
I mean, you said we're in the pocket and so we are in the pocket.
So that counts as an intro?
I mean, it can, unless you want
Okay.
like a
Right?
You've joined the everything pocket. You could do all that.
You can see what
And
is it, probably 50 years worth of post production that just came out right then.
right? Just all exploded.
It's awesome. Oh, but what I was saying was is like, as I was thinking about this conversation and as we've been kind of hanging out more and just kind of getting the groove back on, like there's all these things that have been coming back to me. And because you were like, hey, what are we going to talk about on this like podcast or whatever? And I was like, I have no idea. And then I was like, ooh, there's just so many things to talk about, man. Like I was thinking about the Ford, the box truck, and I was like, oh, that's a whole conversation. And I'm like, oh man, we're like, dude, there's
Yeah.
so much
Yeah,
material.
there's a ton and it's funny because it's all kind of been bubbling up again, with as we've stirred the pot and we just did this post up on the Facebooks with just talking about the songs we're gonna play and just all of that stuff. And it's really wild because there's songs on there that like I would not have remembered. If somebody said write down a list of all the songs and people, it's just a wonderful thing about how we're connected digitally in the world right now. But like Miss Ultra Smooth, or Blue Umbrella, or like
Right.
these songs where it's like, yeah, that was a song. It was a long time ago, and that it's just wild that people have held on to that stuff.
Yeah, right. It's amazing. Hey, what were you said you had some questions? Let's
Oh, okay.
yeah, dude, like
You want?
bring it. Like
Okay. All
and
right.
just
So here,
oh no, you go.
you were going to disclaim or
Well, no,
caveat.
I was going to caveat telling if you're watching this right now, like we're kind of making this up as we go, and Steve and I talked about kind of having a podcast to kind of talk about things past, present, and future, and hopefully we'll get Nate on here. So um, I kind of preempted you and suggested that you hit that list that we were talking about before the show.
Yeah. 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 So, first question.
Yeah.
Question one. Um, if you could wave a magic wand and collaborate with any one or any band, anybody, not even a band, but just any organization or entity, who and what would you do?
Dude, I have no idea.
Yeah.
You
Well,
you you
what pops
doomed
into your
me
head?
by saying like any band or any organization,
Any entity,
any entity. God, that's a
like
great question.
a pod of blue whales, man, and I would create a symphony with them. Mm?
That's I guess that would be the Dolphins.
That's
Man, I
actually a
don't
good answer. I like
yeah.
that answer.
I
I'm
would
gonna take that one.
collaborate with the Dolphins.
Mm.
Gosh, I don't know, man. Who would be great? You know what, man? Like, in barring any grand, like, I mean, because you know me, dude, I touch on so many different things
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
like, it's, oh, I'm getting a call there. We probably need to work that part out of this podcast and have people
Beep
not
beep beep
call.
beep beep.
Um, I was thinking about somebody, and if I had like a goal for everything, is I would love to share the stage again with Jimmy Herring.
Oh, yeah. Okay,
Right?
so Jimmy Herring, guitar player extraordinaire, one of the best, and he's in that masters column where it's like he's first of all, he's this one of the sweetest human beings on the planet, and that's part of being a master. Like, you're not a master if you're not cool with people, because you've gotten to that level, that zen level of mastery. But he's also just a like, just the most amazing guitar player in all of these different settings. Like, and he's played with, so we saw him first with Aquarium Rescue Unit, which was perhaps the uh most powerful collection of musicians that I've ever encountered. So amazing. And then he was with was it, I think he did some time with Dead and Company. He's played with Allman Brothers. He's played with Derek Trucks, just that whole scene. But who's he with now, right
Is he
now?
playing with Widespread right now?
Yes, he's playing with Widespread.
Yeah,
Correct. And
dude.
at least in the before times. But yeah, sick. Okay, so, and what would you do?
I would celebrate first of all,
Yeah, high
right?
fives.
Right, high fives, and like I don't know. I mean, I think when I see like having him on stage with us, right? Just having him on stage playing music and just
Yeah.
having that experience, because it was like a magic carpet ride, right?
Yeah.
And I think of like, when I look back on the road, and like what really sticks with me as being the most amazing part about our journey is that magic carpet ride with the people and the characters that we met and shared experiences with.
Yeah.
And Jimmy Herring, just kind of musically, it was so pure that it was just like you'd float on stage, right? And you just had this thing, and his person matched that too, and so I don't know. I mean, I would just love to be on stage with him to start with, but to be, I mean, anything with Jimmy Herring, and just to like hang out, like, and
Dude.
and you and I talked about that. Like, one of the things that we're loving about, like, with me, you, and Nate getting together and writing is like the hang, right? And that's totally what was happening on the road when we were in our 20s. But there was all this other noise of being like young and egotistical and on the road and up for the adventure that like also was part of that experience. So the hang was in there, but like it was also like a little pixel in the whole scenario.
Yeah. It's one of those life lessons, one of those Buddhist life lessons of, like, you get so caught up in like the expectations and the desires that you lose the enjoyment of just that moment, the hang.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, if okay, so if it's Jimmy Herring, then I would add I'd put apartment Q258 up in there, Jeff Sipes and
Yeah.
O'Teal from Egypt. Like, might as well go for the trifecta
You
and
mean,
just have
yeah.
that, like, have that rhythm section, aka, like, because we kind of uh instrumentally we match up with them. Like, we could sort of be in a place of like, sort of like, just messing around with that group of wickedness. Just whew, whew.
Oh, dude.
We
Do
don't
you
match up. I just want to be clear. Instrumentally, like, I hold a guitar, Jimmy Herring holds a guitar, or I hold a bass, O'Teal holds a bass. Like,
yeah.
we're good on that,
Yeah.
And then, like, but and we did this. We did have moments of playing with those guys, and it was funny because musically, like, technically, they're
Right.
just like light years. They're from different planets. They're
Yeah.
they're just like crazy. And I remember talking with Jimmy after a show and just be like, dude, like, what are you doing? Like,
Yeah.
like what? And he was like, "Oh, Steve, man, I love how you do that wah pedal, and you do that thing, and it's so funky, man." And he was genuinely like complimenting me, and yet at the same time, I was like, there's this voice in the back of my head that's like, dude, like, that guy could do all of that, like,
Yeah.
twice, upside down, backwards with one pinky, but musically, and that's the wonderful thing about music, is like, it's not all about chops. It's not all about how fast and many notes you can play. It's a lot more than that. And that's where making music together is that magic thing. You can play one note, and Colonel Bruce Hampton was such the epitome of that, like, that you can just bring context into that whole menagerie, and that's a beautiful thing. Sometimes that's the most important thing. Sometimes silence, sometimes space is the most important thing.
Yeah.
This is the place.
Oh man, if for anybody who doesn't know what that is, that's a Bruceism from his time on
That's
stage. Rest in peace, my brother,
yeah,
brother Bruce.
dude.
Dude, I remembered like, and God, when we played with ARU, so it was after Bruce left the band, and I remembered like, so we were touring with them, and Jimmy would come and sit in with us in our
Mm-hmm.
opening set, and he would play my guitar.
Hmm.
And dude, when he would hand it back to me, and I would play my guitar. And I've told you this before, man, but like
Mm-hmm.
I would get on it and I would look back at my amp and be like, what is going on here? Because I was just like, dude, this guy totally cranked my volume up. And I would go over to my amp and I would look, and everything was exactly the same. But because of who he was and what he got out of that guitar, it just the whole
Yeah.
thing was just like way more popping. And I remembered when we played with them at Nectar's, and I was standing next to Trey from Fish, and we
Mm.
were like 3 feet from Jimmy's amp, like the whole set, and it was just like not a thing was missing,
No.
right? And I remember like turning to Trey at one stage, and just like that thing you just said, it was just like, what is going on here? What is up? Like this is like definitely redonkulous. And I think it was later that night that we all went out, and like Jimmy rode to the party in the back of the trunk. Do you remember that, man?
No, that was me in the
Was
back of the
that you in
trunk.
the
He
back of the
was
trunk?
tripping. Yeah, like
That's right.
he was tripping out on me, and it was like we were having such a good time, of course. And after party, and then there's a party somewhere else, and so we got to get in this little car and go there, and
Yeah.
just that whole madness of being on the road. And I definitely wanted to be in this group of people, and it's like there's already 6 people in this car that holds 4 people, and I was like, all right, put me in the trunk.
That's right.
And Jimmy was like, no, man, you can't do that. And I was like, yes, I can. Put me in the trunk. So I got in the trunk, and that's how I rode to it. And it kind of like, it was funny because it kind of like the whole evening sort of like ratcheted it up a little bit, because Steve's riding in the trunk, and I was
Oh
just like,
man, you
okay.
guys are crazy. Remember that? Like, man.
Yeah,
And
totally.
it's funny too, because like, our band was, you look at like Randy Reed, who managed, and Adam Foley, who was on the team like super late in the game. Like those guys are like crushing it in management. And I look at like the creative petri dish that we actually had, with, and we were really good as a band, listen to some of those live shows, and you're like, man, it was like kind of out of control. And the musicality was there. And like, Nate is like just the king on stage in terms of just musicality. But, you and I come from more of like a creative composition, sonic, lyric verse, and, but, ARU is just, they're a whole different level of musician. And I remember we played, I live on the Outer Banks now, and which of course you knew that, Steve.
Hey,
Um,
thanks.
yeah, and we played Mole's Mud Track, which was
Mm.
across the bridge in the mainland, and it was like they do mud racing around here, and it was a mud track. And I remembered ARU was headlining with Colonel Bruce, and like if you remember, it was like super hot, and it was supposed to be a big festival, and there's like 300 people there in the mud, in the red
Because it
dirt.
rained. It was
Yeah,
it poured down rain, and then like the clouds cleared, and then it was super hot like immediately. But
yeah.
like the first half of the whole thing had been like just totally rained out. People didn't come because it was like, calling for rain. And yeah, it was crazy. I think it was funny because right before us, I think, was Fighting Gravity, or Boy Oh
Right.
Boy, whatever they were at the time. And they played I Can See Clearly Now, The Rain Is Gone. And like as that, like that was when the clouds cleared and it finally stopped raining. And there's also I'm sorry if I'm jumping your story here, but like
Dude, good.
there's footage in our full-length video, the Easy Living video,
Right.
of us playing in our underwear, because we
That's
were like,
right.
okay, we're going to play in our underwear. Like,
Yeah,
that's
we
what we're
played
going
in
to
our
do.
boxers, man. And like that was the thing that like ARU were like, oh man, you guys played in your boxers. And it was like that kind of fearless, like whatever, that sort of was like the end of like, okay, like these are our people, man. They're gonna be out there in their freaking underwear.
Yeah.
Which is like, when you're jumping around in a pair of boxer shorts, there is a public relations danger floating around in there.
Uh, uh, uh.
Eh, eh, eh.
We
Uh,
weren't all in our boxers though, because Mark Reinhardt keyboards was in his tidy whities.
oh, that's
So
right,
there's that
dude.
documented.
Hey, man,
Oh yeah,
respect.
yeah. I know we
Documented.
I know we said it at the time with those with the ARU guys, but you know, they were like, "Oh man, you guys are so crazy," and we were just like, "Yeah, like we'll play in our underwear, but you guys like with your quintuplet, like you know, keychains, you guys are crazy."
Right. So back to you, Steve. Who
Mm.
would you want to collaborate with?
Mm. I think it'd be really fun to do. I would love to find like, so this is like a trifecta. So a band like The Roots or Butcher Brown, like a really solid, like live, groovy hip hop, like has all that, you know, like just the pocket for days. And then the third part of it would be like some kind of classical or like horn, but like instrumental, like really, really good players. And it's cool because I've been watching some Wolfpack and some Scary Pockets and what's his name? Shoot, I'm drawing a blank on this concert I just watched. And there are these players now. There are these like horn players that are like wicked, you know, and like these charts, like stuff that Jacob Collier's doing. Like the charts are insane, like classical music level insane, and yet it's still funky and it's still like it
Right.
still has pocket. And so I think that like that would be you know, to put like if we could do shows like that where it was like that level of just like musicianship with pocket and with
Right.
like that just classical complexity and just like you can do anything with a group like that and it's funky.
Yeah, that's amazing. It's interesting. There's a thread through that I was thinking about, and I was outside thinking about Jimmy Herring today, being like, man, if there's something I would like to envision for what's going on, it would just be great to play with Jimmy Herring again. And I'm like, well, what's amazing about that? And so, we talked about context with like Colonel Bruce, right? And I think that for me, I mean, me and my struggles, like, and like that being a lead singer, it's a different experience, right? Because a lot of times, like, what I was doing was nothing on some level.
Right.
Like, the
Right.
band's playing and you're with the audience
Right.
and there's this energetic flow. And I think Colonel Bruce was the first time I saw somebody. I was like, oh, it's really important to have that context, because once you get the musicians around it, well, then the story comes out, and that's that human element that's like the X factor, right? And
Right.
it's an unseen thing, and like the apex of that is like someone like a Lauren Mizell, a conductor, where like you're watching this, he's got a magic wand and he's just right at the edge of like communicating all of this stuff with these unbelievable players, right? And it's like, oh, well, that's actually magic right there. It's
Yeah.
like you're literally conjuring this thing, right? That's kind of
Totally.
pre-existing with a program around composition and then these trained musicians, but it's like this thing that's like, oh, well, here's how it like happens in a moment that like goes all the way through your scenario. And I was thinking about like, as a front man, like that feeling of when the band is really popping
Hmm.
and I'm like the ultimate audience member, and I feel like it's like a magic carpet ride, and I feel like elevated, but I also feel safe, right? Where like the
Right.
ultimate apex is like, look, if I fell over right now unconscious, it would still be amazing because the band's
Right.
so good, right? And that's like a
Right.
really like that's an apex experience for like, being up in front of a band,
Right.
at least for,
Yeah.
from a perspective.
Yeah, yeah. And there's this like sort of you're the intermediary, you're the like the medium, you're the channel, you know, and that's it's an interesting thing to like sort of think about because when it's done right, it's
Yeah.
like that just takes it over the top. That's like the thing where it just like kind of unlocks the audience. And I remember we saw Prince. We went as a band. We did like a field trip and saw Prince at whatever the George Mason University field house is. And it was just like he, Prince is the superlative of many things, but like the way that he just controlled the band, the audience, the experience, the whole thing. He was just like he was conducting that entire
Right.
amphitheater or whatever, group of people, that those thousands of people and the people on stage. And it was just like he had complete control over that and
Yeah.
could like stop on a dime
Yeah.
and do whatever and just be like, hey, hold on, you everybody,
Yeah.
and it was just like what yeah, just that consummate sort of like taking music as the magical tool that it is, and then just like having everybody sort of
Yeah.
like connected to it.
Yeah. Was that the George Mason show, like at the Patriot
Yeah.
Center?
Yeah, Patriot Center, that's what it is.
Was that the one where
That's what it
his
is.
guitar was like super loud in the mix? Do you remember that show?
I mean, that's the only Prince show that I've seen, so
Oh,
and
okay.
we were all there, so I
Yeah, I
mean,
remember because I saw him at headline Coachella as well,
oh, right. I
and
don't
like
remember the Patriot Center, I don't remember anything being wrong. I remember that being like one of the best shows I've ever seen.
yeah, I mean he owned it, but I just had seen
Right.
him somewhere before too, and like I just remembered his guitar, and and it was the same at Coachella. It was just a little bit different mix, and maybe it's just what I was hearing that night because context is key.
Yeah.
But like yeah, like just and what he did at Coachella too was like in front of like 50 or 60,000 people or however many people were in the main field. He was on that old Telecaster and it was just cranked up and he was in front of that
Mhm.
band and he was just shredding. And it's the same thing he did at the Super Bowl in
Yeah.
2008, which like, once a year I'll just watch that and just be like
Yep. Yeah.
that
It's
Jimmy
one of the best
Herring stuff, which is
performances.
like, who
Yeah.
does that? Like, what's up?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good times.
Word.
Are you ready for the next question?
Um, I don't know, Steve. That was a pretty deep dive. I'm a little nervous here.
Oh. Oh, you think that was Oh. All right. Question 2.
Oh.
What is your favorite creative outlet?
It changes,
Well, sure. Let's
right?
say this week or in the
I
last
love
month.
I love writing, like just writing, like words,
Yeah.
storytelling.
Yeah.
You
What are
know,
you writing?
um, I'm writing a book.
Hey, that's funny. Me too.
I'm writing a book. Yeah, I've been
I'm
working
writing
on
a
it.
book.
You are writing a book, probably for different reasons, maybe the same reasons, different
I
book.
mean,
Um, but also just singing and playing, like right that writing, that form of just sitting down and making stuff. So I would say that it's writing words, telling stories, and having vibration go with it so that the story goes in deeper.
yeah.
I think that just
Yeah.
ultimately is the place that I always come back to,
It almost sounds like you're talking about a song.
Yeah, I
Like
like writing songs.
words, music, vibration,
I know, right? Oh,
penetration.
you're so precious is the way you just described a song. I'm writing, I like,
I mean, it doesn't have to be a song. It could be like a spoken word thing, or it could be there's like inside that realm there are other things. And I was
yeah,
just kind of I was being a little silly.
yeah, you were,
I was.
you were,
I admit it.
you were needling me, Steve.
A
You're
bit.
needling me over the Zoom.
It was like a silly needle, like a really giant syringe
I
that's like
know. Well, hey,
comically too large.
I deserved it because you asked me what my favorite creative outlet was, and I gave you one answer and then morphed it into
Yeah,
kind of another answer.
right. All
As
of them. I
all
like
of
all of the creative outlets.
like
They are
all
my
of them.
favorite. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean I've been writing a book since about 2000 and I mean really I hatched it in 2009, and I've been writing actively since 2013.
Say a
Um,
little bit more about that.
so yeah, sometimes I get a little evasive about it just because it's a big project, and about big projects. Like if you start talking about them too much, then
Mhm.
you cut.
Yeah, my girlfriend is a writer, and she will not talk about it at all until it's done.
Yeah,
So So there's that too. You can say you can pass, I guess.
Yeah, I think I'm
Yeah.
going to pass right this second.
Right. Right
Um,
on.
not that. Yeah, that's a weird one, Steve.
Hmm.
I don't really want to pass, but I feel like I should pass right now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. You
But
got
that's
like
why, like, it always also
the
comes back to
pass,
the pass. Yeah, you know what? I'll tell you what.
the
We'll
pass, and
talk.
then
What? What?
you want to take this offline?
No, we're good, buddy. I'll tell you what. I'll talk about it on our podcast if we're still doing a podcast in June. Um,
Ooh.
how about that?
I
And
I
that's
bet we will be, first of
that's
all.
yeah, because I gotta I want to print some stuff and have it available to have a few people read, like
Yeah, yeah. Oh, you
the
getting to
first
that point?
the first chapters, right? It's going to
Cool.
be
Cool, cool.
like having readers as I build it.
Yeah.
So I think talking about it is healthy. I don't want to be a a little prick and talk about being an author without like actually delivering something.
Oh yeah, that
You know what I'm
that
talking
too.
about.
Well, it pressurizes it too, and
Yeah.
then like, all of that. So yeah,
Yeah,
I
dude,
get
you
it.
know.
I get it.
Um
Um,
yeah,
yeah.
but but that's also it's the same thing as like storytelling, right? Like the book is like a long-term thing that's just sort of been with me that I kind of just, just like the what you're working on is like you kind of just have to do it, right? Because it's just going to make you
Yeah.
crazy if you're not doing it. And the same
Yeah.
thing with the songs, and just the stuff we've been working on and everything lately where it's just like there's just things that have been sitting around and it's like I have some pieces, you guys have some pieces, we've been collaborating and it's like it's kind of like cleaning up your room, right? You're like, oh, let's take this and now it's like you don't have to worry about it as much, right? Because you don't have to think about it because it's being handled, right?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. That is true, and it is also a very uh sort of depressing and pedestrian look at creativity. It's like cleaning your room.
Yeah, well, hey, man,
It's true. No, I'm with you.
dude,
It's true. It's
yeah,
absolutely true.
that's like a just a clear description of psychological issues.
Yeah, yeah, well that for sure. And that ability to I've especially with the written word, like
Yeah,
I've really been able to do that with writing. Like writing music is something that is more like sort of nebulous and ethereal for me,
right,
and
right.
like and I when I finish I'm just like, oh, that feels great, like like that it just
Hmm.
feels really good to do that, to create music. But writing it is much more like the the housekeeping of the mind and the soul, where it's like it kind of helps to process stuff that way. It's super powerful for that. So
Yeah,
I'm
and I
with you.
mean, and it's also, with creativity, there'll be some ideas that'll be with you, and then those ideas just disappear, right? And
Mhm.
they're just not. But the ones that just sort of like some of the song ideas that I brought to you guys, like I've had them since 2006 and seven. They're just
Yeah.
pieces and parts that are just like, look, I have instant recall on this right now because it's just
Right.
like it's like a goldfish in the bowl up here. Like it's just like
Right.
until we put it in the tank, like it's still up there.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so
Yeah. The
okay,
world
Stephen.
of the mind of Craig Honeycutt.
Well, enough of that, buddy. What about the world of Steve Van Dam? Like,
uh what's my favorite creative outlet?
yeah, currently,
That's a it's it changes,
yeah,
there's this every so so every once in a while, and this is in the sort of in the post COVID times, and it was the way that I could so in the before times, my favorite creative outlet was playing music
right,
um live in front of people. That was just like hands down, and it may still be, I just haven't gotten to do that. And so the substitute for that became different ways of sort of creating music kind of with myself.
right,
So like the acapella app or Soundtrap, or I would record something on my phone and then like drop that into Soundtrap or GarageBand or something easy, and just like build on it from there. And
right,
sort of the tools became this way of like how I could play with somebody else, even if that was just me and different like layers of me. And so I think that that's definitely been a go-to. And the thing is, I have to be able to put up with the imperfections in it, because like when you're creating music with somebody else, or whether you're recording it or doing it live, the other people's imperfections are like, that's part of the magic. It's awesome. It's great. Like that's what makes it, special. But my own imperfections are the things that I have to like look at and listen back to, and like, that's harder. So that's there's that one, I think. And the other thing for me this week with Light the Music, I kind of I've been gestating on this kind of like this new product, which I also probably won't talk about, in much detail in this moment, other than to say that it's a platform for creators to like sort of go on the creative journey of learning to create, and creating, and sharing that. But like it's kind of solidifying. And so like entrepreneurship, innovation, like that kind of creativity is also right now really, really fun. And I think for me, it's always been like the easy part, like come
Right.
up with ideas and sort of like uh get that going and sort of start that ball rolling. And that's this has been such a disruptive time for Light the Music and in the education space and all of that stuff, that it's been really hard. And it's been like sort of there's the creative part, and then there's just the grind, just the like doing it and reaching out to people, and being told, yeah, no, we're not into that. And then, just all of the other parts of having a startup. But that part, and the like the excitement of sort of envisioning this thing, and kind of looking at it from a bunch of different angles and be like, yeah, I think that might be able to work. That's been really exciting in the last like week or two.
Whoa, dude.
Yes, sir.
Gazig
Gossip Nugan.
Dude, that's amazing. Yeah, well, that's
Yeah.
good. I know that about you, and I'm sure that if people don't know what's been going on with us, go look at lightthemusic.com. Um, Steve has been on this journey. I've been on it with him, but this is like your band, and I'm sort of in it a little bit.
Yeah.
So go look at lightthemusic.com. It's pretty cool. It's more than pretty cool. So that's it's an interesting outlet for you, young man, and it's a healthy one, and it's one I've been seeing for a long time. I mean, I think about the time that when you first started telling me about this in 2013, and it
Yeah.
was like the essence of wanting that connection, right? And also its connectivity to symphonic music, right? And the nature of people playing together on stage, but people in an audience experiencing that, but trying to figure out a different way to have that interaction go back and forth in a different way. And part of that was a desire to like kind of reinvigorate symphony music, so it's not so like
Right.
you know
Right.
frozen in time a little bit. um and it's interesting, like kind of going back to what you're talking about with like your desire to have like really badass horns and symphonic arrangements over top a really badass like hip hop band, right? And it's like this
Hmm.
thread that's kind of like going through there, and you're the abstraction of symphonic, non-lyrical music mixed with helping people to learn in their own way how to do that, that sort of
Yeah.
slide. So
Yeah. And the just the interactivity of all that, like the,
right,
like the everybody, I think the idea that people can be musical, and
right,
that if you capture that in a way that like that builds into something that's super powerful. It
right.
comes back to, we've talked about magic, and I just finished reading this trilogy, this three books. The Magicians, I think, is the name of the trilogy, and it's by I want to say Lev Grossman, I think that's his name. And it's kind of like it's funny because they actually joke about Harry Potter in there, and the people that are in there are aware of these other sort of, sort of like Narnia, and these other sort of magical realms that have been created. So that's part of the culture of the people, of the characters in the book. But it's been really inspiring because as I've been reading about these magicians and how hard it is, like these like really complex hand gestures, and then like the right words in like ancient languages, and you have to like there's just like everything has to be right. That's why magic is so hard. It's not like you're born with it. It's not like
Right.
Harry Potter, where it's just like, suddenly he can do all this stuff. Like, it's a craft.
Yeah.
There's all this work that goes into doing it, and then you can finally like, get to that point if you are, if you're given those information, if you're given those the spells and all that stuff. And there's so many parallels to like to music,
Yeah.
that first of all, it's this thing that you can totally conjure out of nothing. You can you can pull these sounds into existence and suddenly like change a room full of people or a stadium full of people. So there's that power of it, and that the conjuring of it, like you were talking about, like with a conductor. And then there's the craft, and like how uh how hard of a path that can be to like really like hone the craft so that
Right.
you're like you're really good at it. But that just the idea of that and the power of that, like, and I think that's the thing that continually inspires me about what Like the Music is doing, which is like, you can teach especially kids, but you can teach anybody to do that wants to learn that magic. Like, it's when you open up a drum machine, there it is. Like, there's some squares, and like if it's set to like sort of like repeat whatever you do, then like you can make a beat in 20 seconds. Is it a good beat? Maybe, but like
Yeah.
then you can keep messing with it. And so it's like it's got this like entry into it. And this is what we've been seeing with kids, like kids on the spectrum, kids with special needs, kids in like juvenile detention, regular kids in any grade. Like, we've seen this, that it's just like they literally like light up with the fire of this like power, and it's like that's that thing. And it's something that we experienced as musicians over and over again,
Yeah.
like moments on stage where just like where everything was right, everybody was listening, everybody was tapped in, and like this thing that we're creating live in this moment, with these sounds, was just like so freaking powerful. And just that, like the beauty and the joy and the power of that is just like that's the thing that inspires me to like be able to bring other people into that.
Yeah. Trying to get one
So,
more dose of the flow, man.
dude, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Such, yeah, the
Wow.
creativity, man.
Deep thoughts, Stephen.
We need like a plug sound effect, like plug.
What are we plugging?
Well, that was a little bit of Like the Music, but
Oh, wow,
the
that was so good. It was like native content, Steve. Dude, you're so fresh. I was in.
I mean, it's all connected though too. Like, it's connected to to our paths as
Yeah.
everything, and all the experiences that we had, and just like that's what that's that's one of the bedrocks of like what Like the Music is doing now, is just like that. Like,
Yeah.
how do we do that? How do we help other people do that?
Yeah. You
Without
know,
the riding in trunks. Or maybe with that.
you ready? I have a Subaru now, Steve, so it'll be a comfortable ride. We'll have plenty of space for you back there.
Yeah, now that I'm older, I've drawn the line at hatchbacks, like no more
Word.
trunks.
We've moved up in the world.
Yeah,
I love it.
yeah.
Is there a last question, Steve?
Yeah,
Do you want
there
to dive
is.
into it?
Okay.
Let's do it, buddy. It's Friday night.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Here's the last question music.
Question number 3 on the Everything Pocket Podcast.
You can opt out now and keep all your money, or you can answer this question. What's what's the most interesting part of re-engaging the everything thing?
It's twofold.
Hmm.
And it goes back to like sort of cleaning up the room upstairs. Like it's
Right.
like Marie Kondoing my life,
Mm.
right? You know the book. The She
Oh yeah.
got very famous
I
with
know
like,
Marie.
here's how you tidy it up.
Yes,
Um,
sir.
is to re-engage with you guys. I mean, who are still on the path, like you and Nate.
Mm.
And we, thankfully we were the vocalists and kind of primary writers and sort of loved the studio. And I mean, it's hard to be a lifer in it. You get to crossroads and you go, am I a lifer? And it just doesn't go away. So you're like, yes, I'm a lifer.
Yep.
So for me, energetically getting back into it, like I'm integrating all of the experiences and memories in a way that makes everything more positive and healthy and awesome. Because I mean, it was, I wasn't a healthy person during that run. I'm 8
Right.
years sober. Like, I mean, obviously I don't have to explain any of that stuff to you, but for people listening, like I was an out of balance person during it's a very intense thing to do, travel, 215, 20 days a year for 10 years. And all you do is that, right? All you do is, go to the club, play, try to be a rock star, kind of be a rock star. Like, and so I carried a lot of like negative charge on that stuff. And this experience is allowing me to go back and just look at the grand beauty of things for what they truly were. And so that part, and then so maybe it's threefold. So it's like, then that's related to like just getting to hang with you and Nate again. Like you and I have like touched, we've interacted a lot and we've worked together over the years, but like this coming together like this, it's like to rebuild that bond of brotherhood and like a whole new light where we're different people. And I get to kind of like say, hey guys, here's where I'm at in life. And I've really worked hard to like, just be an awesome person in the world. And like, what does that feel like? Right. And I think I
Yeah.
texted you guys like, hey, I'm really stoked to, be working as a team with you guys, right? Where we're
Yeah.
making healthy decisions together. And whether that's like, hey, Nate's got ill and we have to cancel a studio session, like we can all come to a healthy decision, like, hey, well, let's just postpone, and it's a quick decision and it feels right. And we know that like we're good because we're making these good relational decisions together. And so that's really great. And then the third fold of this origami here is like what's possible, right?
Right.
Where it's just like, we're 50-year-old white dudes, right? Who play guitars and write music and had a hit song literally last century, right? And are, only relevant to who knows how many people. And like what's possible, right? And I think that that's interesting to see, to pay attention to what is possible, to share joy, to share vibration, to reconnect with people that we haven't seen in a long time, to see what seasoned musicians are like working together. Because like I feel that when we got together at your house last time, I was like, oh, we've all been playing. Like you guys, you and Nate were playing together for 14 years, doing like special events as a wedding band, and like are like woodshedding and shredding in front of people and learning. And I've been playing acoustically down here at the beach for a handful of years, and like bringing those skills together again. And it's just like, it's not like the vision has gotten dimmer. So I'm like, well, what is possible, right? So I think those are the things for me that are like, it's like lightening the load of the past, really like loving the present with the brotherhood, and then saying, well, what can we do while we
Yep.
still have life in us for the next 3 decades or whatever, or 4 decades or 5 decades, if we can stay on our ketogenic diets. Um,
And we will plug.
the key, we should have a little key keto colon. Okay, that doesn't sound right. Hey,
Hey, I'm not sure. Maybe take that back to branding and marketing and see if they can like maybe tighten that up a little bit.
right, just keto with the e
Keto
colon in it,
colon.
right? Not the. I was trying to be clever, and yet no. What
Yeah, you
about
got to
you,
be careful.
Steven?
Um, uh, a lot of that's ditto, you know, and the nice thing is that we've spent, you and I, me and Nate, um, the three of us, we've spent so many hours and you know, just like a life together, you know, playing music, and that so a ditto is a viable card to play here. That like, because we've always been aligned in this kind of this mission to make music together, to explore, you know, to have fun, and you know, and world domination, you know, like that's the sort of this like piece of it where it's that was our joke back when we were in our 20s, but like that idea of like creating value and putting that out into the world and like, you know, making that our path. And I think that's it's really fun to like sort of put that on again and to realize that like you said, not only is it just wonderful to like spend time with you guys again, like just like that alone is like, okay, great. I'm in. You know, if that's all we did, cool. But then to make music together again and to like put that thing that we have together again, that the chemistry and the like our different musical sort of wheelhouses together is just like really really just amazing. You know, it's like, oh yeah, that's right, like Nate is like the most amazing, you know, creator of a pocket. Like that dude is like just unparalleled in doing that. And like your ability to craft songs and the things that you have gotten to with like how you put you know, acoustic guitar things in stuff, and your ability to like just like hooks, like you know, but all of that
Things.
together,
Yeah, I'm with you, man.
that it's just it's super super fun to like just try that on again. And then yeah, and then like what are the possibilities, you know,
Yeah.
and to like write a song. We just got together whenever that was, a couple months back, and like sat down, the three of us, and started with some ideas and ended up with a song. And like that song is like, hey, that's a really good song. Like I've played it for a couple people, and like they're like, wow, you know,
Yeah.
like, and that's it's super exciting. And so I don't know, that's it's been it's also been really interesting to listen back to everything that we did, and to like sort of see it in the context of 20 or 30 or whatever, yeah, I guess 30 years later. And some of it was just so,
Young.
yeah, just so knuckleheaded, you know, so like, you know why we're doing this? Because we can,
Yeah.
you know. But that to come back together. And it's funny too, because I'm pretty sure that you said this sometime a long long time ago about the Chieftains, about how like they would like, they were a band that lasted a long time, and like they would come back together and they would bring the new experiences that they had experienced alone, separately in other musical endeavors and what in life, and then they would come back together and bring all of that back into the mix. And I
Yeah.
that's like that's where we are, which is just super exciting, because it's like I know you, but then also there's this other stuff that I don't, you know, like I'm like, oh, you got that now, cool, you
Oh,
know.
oh
So
my.
yeah.
A
Oh
bag of
hey,
tricks. You
hey.
know, and the back to what's possible too is like, you know, thinking about like, oh, like little moments of like, oh, wouldn't it be great to have Jimmy Herring on stage, right? Because it's like, well,
Right.
that would be great. And then we had the moment like after we got together in Richmond where I was just like, oh, hey, you know, I bet you we could go into the studio with John Morand, right? And we kind of
Yeah.
hatched that
Yeah.
idea of like,
Right.
let's do that. And so,
Like, why not? And
yeah,
John's like, yeah, like come on, like
yeah,
whenever you guys want. And
yeah,
it's like, yeah, that just super exciting to like that to the what ifs right now are
yeah,
just like, hey, you know, like why not?
yeah.
So yeah, for
Dude, well,
sure.
we're coming up on an hour. Let's talk a little bit. Let's wrap up with a plug about
Right.
you know, if people are watching this and don't know that we are playing June 5th, which is a Saturday, at the Festy experience in Charlottesville at Chisholm Vineyards. The Festy is a really great boutique festival started by Michael Allenby many years ago. It was it got up to about 5,000 people across a few days. I could be wrong on those numbers, and really great bands. It was one of the founding bands was the infamous String Dusters, and
Mm.
Michael really has curated some really great bands. And last year during the pandemic, when he couldn't do his festival, he partnered with Chisholm Vineyards and took the idea of the Festy and just brought it down to just a one band experience where he sold pods of tickets, right? So it's like VIP tables, 2, 4, and 6, like 250 tickets, tables of people separated. You order your food and drink by phone. You can order merch by phone, and set up the experience to be as magical. And he was like, when I talked to him, several months ago, he was like, man, I had more fun. The audience loved it more. He's like, I think this is the future. And it was amazing. And so he's actually expanded it to Asheville and Charleston. And so the Festy is really kind of curated around lifestyle markets. We had talked a little bit about, maybe trying to bring one to the Outer Banks, which, I don't know if it was quite right for this market yet, because down here is just a super unique environment, just in terms of weather and property and crowds and all that. Yeah, I think there's a few tickets left. We got Wanamaker could have sit in with us, Doug Wanamaker from Indecision, and been an amazing keyboard player around the area for many, many years. And he played with us for a handful of years towards the end of the 90s. And then it's Charles Owens on saxophone, who is apparently just like super legit. I mean, have you heard him play
Oh
at
yeah.
all?
Oh yeah, yeah. He
Okay.
played with us in E3. So we've like literally played with him. But also, yeah, he's played with everybody. He's
Okay,
like
cool.
him and like John Durth and just that whole like from jazz into hip hop and just a whole bunch of other stuff too. I think he's also been in a bunch of different cover bands and other bands and just like creative projects. But he is like his skill set is just like deep, immense. Yeah, so it'll be super fun to play with him, and he's super creative too. That's the other thing that's really fun about Charles and Wanamaker too, for that matter. Like like that mastery level of an instrument where it's like you just look over at him and you're like, all right, let's go there, and that, yeah, so super, super fun and exciting to play with both those guys and to kind of, again, like to kind of like set up this, the table, set the table with like the everything songs and then like have these cats come in and just like, see what we can do, see what new magic we can create.
I love it. Back on
Yeah.
the magic note, Steve. So let's try to get young Nathan Brown in on the next one of these.
Yeah.
And maybe we can do one of these per week. Is that possible?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's.
Spread the
Um,
word, everybody. So what else, Steve? Before we go,
Um, that's it. That's like fantastic. We should do a stinger and an outro.
we got to say everything the band on Instagram.
Yeah.
We have a big old Facebook page, and we have a Facebook group you can join.
Yeah.
Um,
Click the links below. Boop, 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 boop,
yeah,
boop, boop,
you're at Steve Rething. I'm
boop, 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 boop.
at the Craig Honeycutt on
Right.
Instagram. Um, Nate's on the
Like
Facebooks,
like the music,
lightthemusic.com.
all that stuff, all
Yeah.
that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And
And
so
and and like like one of the wonderful things about all of the things, the creativity in the media today, the ways that we can share stuff is that it can be interactive and like, so like let us know, like, have questions, send us questions, all of that, interact with this and like that's what this is really about, is connecting with people and hopefully this is interesting and we'll keep this was episode 1, so we'll keep doing this and working on it.
cool. You're gonna help me with the we need a stinger, man.
Yeah, dude, do this thing.
You're listening to the Everything Pocket Podcast. Dude, I can't hear that ukulele.
Oh no.
Get up in there. Oh yeah. The Vita Brata, Vita Brata, Vita Brata. All right, Steve, I'll
This is
talk to you
the
soon.
this is the Jimmy Herring episode, apparently. So that was for you, Jimmy. Jimmy's like, oh
Woo!
man, Steve, come on, man.
Yeah, Earth, a shout out to Jimmy Herring. Jimmy Herring, we want to be on stage with you again.
We'll see you soon, Jimmy.
Bye.